Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chris Everard, and we are broadcasting live on the Truth Frequency.
Now, David, can you hear us?
I'm hearing you well.
Oh, you're loud and clear.
Okay, that's good.
You're very loud and very clear.
We need to bring the voice of Free Catalonia to the world, so it needs to be loud and clear.
Now, let's kick off with Mexico. We do have a lot of Spanish-speaking listeners and viewers. And like I say, the BBC, I don't remember a single broadcast from the BBC explaining that there's been mass murders in Mexico. So do you want to tell people basically how many people have been killed?
Yes, it was 43. Well, it was 6 people killed and 43 people disappeared, but deemed to be dead.
Yeah, that's like Dr. Equal speech marks disappeared.
Yes, the question is, it happened in September 2014 in the city of Iguala, which is in the state of Guerrero. The same state where Acapulco is, which might be slightly more known. It's peculiar because this small city of around 120,000, it's technically called Iguala de la Independencia because that's where in 1821 Declaration of Independence from Spain happened, which from somebody like me who wants to declare independence, it has a nice touch.
Absolutely. We should say, David, that Texas was originally part of Mexico.
Yeah.
Yes, half of Mexico was,
And also, I'm pretty sure that Southern California was also part of Mexico. I might be wrong.
Yes, no, California, Texas, I would say New Mexico. There's a big lump of a big part of almost half of Mexico territory.
Yeah,
got lost in the Mexican-American War. But the thing in this city of Iguala, it is a bit. This kind of peculiar things because the name of the city in Nahuatl, which is the old Aztec language, means serene or calm night, which is peculiar because that's where it happened, a shootout where 6 people die and 43 get disappeared. The official version is, it happened also in a peculiar way. Sometimes history is a bit mocking us. These students were taking over buses, which is a typical thing to do there. Bus drivers are instructors to keep with the people kidnapping them. They get paid so they can recover the buses. It's a typical thing to happen there. And these students were going precisely to a demonstration the 2nd of October to mark the commemoration of some students being killed in 1968. So it's peculiar that it happened again. It's history repeating itself. Yeah. People wanting to commemorate some students killed. It happened again. And it seems that it went that corrupt police, including the mayor and the wife of the mayor, had ties with this Mexican drug cartel called Guerreros Unidos. Guerrero is the name of the state. Guerrero in English means warrior. So it's a quite a cute name for a cartel.
Now,
Guerreros
these
Unidos.
cartels, we should say, David, these cartels have got tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars flowing through them. One of them is called the Knights Templar. Very strange because, it's an occult reference. So who are the most likely suspects? Is it a death squad working within the police force?
Yes, the question is 170 people have been detained in relation to this, and 34 of them at least are deemed to have been tortured. The thing stands that it was corrupt policemen handed these 43 students to the cartel, and they were executed and incinerated. But 41 bodies are still missing. It's a story that is very acute. It's very nerve-wracking in the Mexican society as far as I can tell. And the question is
it's one of the biggest scandals in recent years.
Yes, the question is the poppy crop in the state has multiplied by 3 in the last years. And one of the main sources, because the question is the official version is that the politicians and police and this drug cartel murdered these people and incinerated them. And imagine how worse the real version must be, because the families don't believe the official version. So, if the official version is bad enough, politicians, police, and a drug cartel getting together to murder people, and they're still covering for something, it makes you wonder what the real truth must be. That's still worse than this. So it must be some global player, maybe. Well, we don't know yet, but we'll keep investigating. Another important thing, it's written in the book there. It seems that these students might have suffered a case of being at the wrong place at the wrong time, because it seems that this cartel is one of the main providers of drugs in Chicago. And the way they do it is using buses. These buses are the main way to bring drugs to Chicago. So it might be a case that they got somewhere where they shouldn't have been met.
The amount of migrants that come into Italy to safeguard traditional Italian family values.
Yes, and they used to be from Lombardy independence as well, but I think they watered it down recently. But the breaking news today is that Giuseppe Conte, the 53-year-old lawyer that had been appointed just last Wednesday to form government to be prime minister, has resigned, has stepped down. And the cause has been because the Minister of Finance that he proposed, which had been agreed by Movimento 5 Stelle and Lega Norte, has been not accepted by the president, Sergio Mattarella, from the Democratic Party. And as he had reluctantly accepted, and the reason is that this minister, Savona, he is Eurosceptic as well. So everybody's not very happy there, because they say that if Italians cannot choose their own government, what's the point, more or less? So,
well, I'll tell you now, I've seen
they are open to new elections. So now there's crisis again in Italy, because after 3 months without government, now the doors to new elections are wide open.
David,
I think they've had 51 prime ministers since the Second World War.
Yeah.
I mean, that's nothing really particularly bad. That just shows that democracy is in a state of flux. It's a bit like Bitcoin. You know, Bitcoin gains like $2,000 in 10 days, and people go, "Oh, it's too volatile." But I mean, obviously, if you've invested in Bitcoin, you want to see it go up $2,000 in 10 days.
And I think. Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine. I heard a couple of days ago some news came out that the Italian Parliament was banning Freemasons from office.
Yeah, well, I kind of helped that, because I was the first person to publish the receipt that the main Masonic lodge in Rome gave to Silvio Berlusconi when he became a Freemason. He actually paid to become a Freemason. And he got a handwritten receipt. It's a very nice looking receipt, written in a fountain pen. And I was the first person to actually publish that. And he paid 150,000 lira. And it's in a digital book which I've written. You can get it on my personal website, ChristopherEverard.com. And my book is called Pulp Friction, and is all about the Vatican, Silvio Berlusconi, with underage bunga girls from Morocco. And basically, after my book, I gave 150,000 copies of my book away for free. And that basically contributed towards the collapse of the Silvio Berlusconi government. And the rise of the 5-star movement with Beppe Grillo, who, as I said, is a comedian.
Was that Propaganda Due? Was that P2 that gave him the...
Well, P Due, Leo is like the expert on that. We've done a few shows about P Due. P Due, the main guy, funnily enough, he used to be a manufacturer of very high quality beds and mattresses. I know it sounds crazy, but he was a big industrialist. And I think that there was a guy called Angelelli or something like that, and he's to do with motor car manufacturing, which is obviously a very, very big business in Italy.
Giovanni Agnelli, yes, the president of Fiat, and also he was the CEO in Juventus, I guess, football club.
Yeah, because, I mean, really, basically, Italy, you've got Alfa Romeo, Maserati, Ferrari, Fiat. There's a few little tiny ones that people don't really know, Arbath. there's only really the United Kingdom and Italy that still have this culture of the small volume sports car luxury manufacturing. It used to go on in places like even Belgium had car manufacturers at one time, but they all went bust. But basically, it's an industrial. How can I put it? It's like Italy was being run by P. Dewey, by the Vatican, by the Knights of Malta, and it was like an industrial occult cartel running a nation. And I mean, I tell you now, this guy is gone, David. But it's not going to be chaos. I'll tell you that.
No, I guess somebody's running this. But I would like to say two things that I think we should learn from this, which is one is we are realizing that it doesn't really matter what we vote because our presidents and prime ministers are decided elsewhere by somebody else.
Yeah.
So this is becoming more obvious. In Catalonia, we have two presidents nobody has voted for.
Well, hang on a minute, because I would say, David, that things are changing. We are now in a situation where millions of people are waking up to vote rigging. Okay, now, David, what is the state of play with the independence movement in Catalonia?
I'll go to that in 30 seconds, but first I'd like to say something which might protect one investigation journalist in Spain that might be under death threat.
Okay.
And we think we should. His name is Josele Sanchez. His ideas, lots of what he says is totally against what I defend. But the question is that he has exposed that possibly the president of Banco Santander was murdered and didn't die naturally. And it's a big plot, and Banco Santander is very powerful. And he's also unveiled some pedophilic scandals in San Sebastian and in Castelló.
I see.
And he has said, he made a wonderful interview with our common friend, Miguel Celades, that people can find in Spanish.
Yeah.
He has interviewed him, and he says that he's considering quitting Spain, and he moves everywhere with protection. So from here, I think we should raise our voice, even when our opinions are very different on politics and on everything.
And so
but we should raise awareness that it's not possible, that people who are courageous enough to tell the inconvenient truth, we should all stand as one and let their names be known.
Yeah, well, Santander, you're absolutely right. They do. They went on a shopping spree a few years ago, and they bought quite a lot of British banks. And there's a situation in Britain where some high streets have 2 branches of Santander Bank. It's crazy.
Yeah, but the scandal he's talking about, it involves the wife. I mean, he announced he was going to divorce, and then he suddenly died. And there's been a court. It's been brought to court some accusation that it was the wife that plotted and murdered him. So saying these things can get you killed. So I think it's the right place to state that. So if something happens to him, there's going to be people all over the world that know what the reason might be. Okay? Yeah. After saying that, I have to say that the situation in Catalonia is getting along the path we announced. And it's very difficult because most Catalans have been taken by a PSI operation done by Spain that has infiltrated everything. As we announced, the end game is a rigged referendum to murder independence. But as we said, some things had to happen before that. And this week has confirmed us being right, because one of the things that has to happen is Partido Popular going under, because they would rather die than set a referendum they have been against officially.
Now, who are those people? Who are those people, David? Are they a political party?
Yes. Partido Popular is the running party in Spain. They're the followers of Franco. I mean, they had lots of Franco people in there, and they're running Spain.
Who was a fascist dictator, we have to say.
Yes. They are the followers. I mean, something that couldn't happen in Italy or Germany, it happened in Spain. They're the running party, but now somebody has blown the whistle. Wow. Because they have to be taken out of power so this referendum can happen. They cannot bring about the referendum. It has to be somebody else. So a big corruption scandal has exploded this week. We are at the door of a confidence motion, or a censorship motion is called here in Spanish. Mm-hmm. And we're one step closer to changing government. So one step closer to this referendum appearing.
Okay, well, that's good.
And possibly you're going to be happy because the movement seemed to be to change. There's in the air, it might be a change monarchy to republic to keep Catalonia inside Spain. I mean, they might be willing to drop the monarchy, maybe, to make sure that Catalans accept a watered-down agreement. And lots of things are happening.
All I can say about that, David, is that obviously Russia was a monarchy at one time. That became a republic. And so did the United States of America. That was under the control of a monarchy.
Yes.
The truth of it is that monarchs just go underground and they raise taxes even from republics. It's like Australia. If Australia became a republic, there'd still be huge amounts of tax income being siphoned out of Australia into the pockets of Buckingham Palace because that's what they do.
Yeah,
that's
but
they became trillionaires.
But something bigger. I mean, we went from absolute monarchies to so-called democracies, but they still run the world in a different way. So they just let us think we're free, but we're not.
I have to say, David, I mentioned this about 3 or 4 weeks ago on the show. When you go to Spain and you compare it to France, there seems to be a ridiculous number of police in Spain in comparison to France.
Yes.
I mean, it seems to be totally unnecessary.
Yeah, it is, but there's this different. But it's to make people believe that they're more secure and to make them believe that some police is on their side and some is on the other side. But actually, both sides play together. What we've seen this week is a tremendous mockery, and I want to put 2 examples.
Yeah.
One is everybody here is defending so-called political prisoners that are supposed to have declared independence, but they didn't.
Yep.
And everybody on the pro-Indy side is being brainwashed into wearing something yellow, paint something yellow, put yellow crosses on the beach and everything.
Yeah.
And then you have the pro-union people taking away these yellow things. So both groups cancel each other out. They're doing nothing productive for independence. And you have millions of people who cancel each other out doing nothing productive. So we don't think that our leaders have betrayed us 4 times. It's a tremendous psyop, and media and everybody is all about this yellow fever.
Well, the way to throw a spanner into the psyop is obviously to start a class action with a website where they're then facing billions of euros of compensation for human rights abuse.
We have to do that, and next to it, we need to convince people that our side is the one lying to us, because that's proving tremendously difficult, because everything we love happens to work for the other side. So that complicates things a lot. But the other thing they've done, and I'll try not to get too technical, but it's the way they mock us. Somebody supposed to be for independence and somebody who's close to President Carles Puigdemont has started a new party called Movement of the 1st of October. Well, Movement is the name that Franco regime called it itself, the movement. And 1st of October, it's the day where Franco was made top leader.
Yeah, it's just a scam.
They mock us in a way that you wouldn't believe. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. It's like if you made a party in Germany called Heil Hitler, whatever the date Hitler reached power, and it's supposed to be for independence.
Yeah, the thing is, David, is that we are exposing all of this in real time. And I've got lots of messages from people saying thank you for doing these updates on all the scams that are going on in Spain, because there's David, have you got a website for your political movement?
Our political movement has a website. It's 3ws.directe, finished with E, 68.cat. One thing I wanted to say here.
Directe.cat.
Yes. What I wanted to say is our ideals are written in 15 different languages, and we want it to be in every language in the world. Because we want to be the independence of Catalonia, to be in the benefit of 7,500 million people. So anybody everywhere who speaks a pre-Columbian American language or Aborigine language in Australia or any language in the world, it's just 10 minutes work, and we would love to have it from anywhere in the world, every language.
.cat is the Catalonian version of .com. I've always wanted to register Tiddles in Spain, so I could have Tiddles .cat.
Yes.
Or you
and also we have our videos in YouTube, in Radio Hadrian. They can follow everything we say here in Catalan, in Spanish, and in English. So it would be great. People
hey,
go to
David,
YouTube.
my recommendation, why don't you register fat.cat? So you've got fat cat.
Well, we'll do that.
It's very easy to remember.
We'll do that, but before I need to lose some weight before they think it's me.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, it's a term that's used to describe big bosses. You could have a website that's exposing industrial corruption.
We'll consider that.
Yeah.
Truth Frequency Radio is your #1 source for news and information without the hate, hype, and fear. We're proud to feature cutting-edge programs like The Christopher Everard Show, The Covert Report with Susan Lindauer, Enemy Within Radio with Tom Barnes, Freaky Friday with The Woo Crew, The Gematria Effect with Zachary Hubbard, America's Evil Genius with Travis Cook, Phoenix Rising Radio with Phoenix, Quantum Connections with Lucky, and dozens more. Did you know you can listen from any telephone by dialing 641-793-7117 or call into your favorite show toll free at 833-TFR-LIVE. Uncensored talk and news you won't hear in the mainstream media. Truth Frequency Radio, your protection from deception.